All right, readers. Those clocks, they are striking 13, so let us begin. Today, we're going to be talking about Ray Bradbury's 1951 classic, Fahrenheit 451, the book about a dystopian future where it's illegal to own books. In fact, if you own a book, the fire department will show up at your house, chop in your door, burn all your books and your home, leaving you a homeless, wandering bum. More on that book in a moment. First, we're going to get to some news and some notes from around the reading world. First off, an interesting little study from the Pew Research Center. It was released just a couple days ago on January 21st. In it, they stated that in 2013, the average American read 5 books. Not bad at all. They found that more women read than men. And they found, I liked this part of it, of 89% of those who read bought a real book. They did not download it onto ebook or Nook or Kindle fashion. They bought the book, and that's how they preferred to read it. However, half of the readers under 30, they preferred and or bought at least one ebook. I know this is the way it's going, the way of the future. Just, books are real. They're things. Kind of like Bradbury's novel. The book is a thing. You can burn it. It exists in real time. Whereas the ebook, people are at least reading. From that we can take the positive. People are reading something. But it's still not the actual thing. Kind of like in music. I still like my CDs. Hell, I still have my Digital Underground Sex Packets cassette tape. It's why people are nostalgic and collect old records. They want the actual thing. Doesn't feel quite the same with the digital copy. I know you get the same music or you can read the same words. It doesn't feel as real to me. Anyway, moving on. We're going to go to the New York Times bestsellers list. Lot of movement this week on the Big Easy's top 10 and 15. As a matter of fact, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the top 15 books of this past week. This is their first week on the charts. I don't know if that means there were that many good books released last week. I don't know if it means people are just finally turning in those Christmas gift cards and getting something for them. Been burning a hole in their pocket. Why would anyone want to save something as foolish as money? Most notably, number 1 this week, The Invention of Wings by Sue Monk Kidd. First week on the list, and it is number 1. Donna Tartt's Goldfinch, still hanging out at number 2 after 12 weeks. That's just impossible numbers, folks. 12 weeks, think of your favorite movies. They do not hang on to number 2 spot for 12 weeks. Mrs. Tartt had to be hoping for Sycamore Road to drop, which it finally did. It finds itself in number 5 this week. That's John Grisham's newest offering. Also been up there for 12 weeks. Coming at number 3, we got Christine Feehan's Fear Nothing. First week up there. Lisa Gardner comes in at number 4. That's her first week up there. And then we got Stuart Woods' new one, Stand Up Guy, coming at number 6. Also number 1. We'll see if any of these first on the week books, on the bestsellers list books, have some staying power, or if their fans just showed up in droves to get their favorite author. If so, good. Keep buying the new offerings from your newest author. Your favorite authors. Speaking of new releases, coming out this week on January the 27th, we have The Guest Cat by Takashi Hirati. Or something. I cannot pronounce people's names. Also, The Man Who Loved Dogs by Leonardo Pattern. A lot of cat and dog inspired books this week. There's a new Star Wars book coming out. There, of course, is a new book on how to find love coming out this week. Cheryl Woods has a new offering, Home to the Seaview Key. We have From Texas with Love by Dan Gutman. The Prada Plan 4 by Ashley Antoinette. You got Up from the Grave by Janine Frost. The Cartel number 5, La Bella Mafia by Ashley and Jacquava. 2 first names, no last names. 2 authors. Could be good. Rounding out the new releases of the week, we got Still Life with Breadcrumbs by Anna Quinlan. All right, we're going to have to go to a quick word from our sponsors. They are sponsoring this week's featured title, Fahrenheit 451, of course by Ray Bradbury. We're going to delve into that text next. Today's book report is brought to you by A Message from Bigfoot. Hey, hunters, skeptics, and especially dudes on that barely watched show that produces 0 results but somehow a few viewers. Fuck off! You people don't even know if a bear shits in the woods or if a fallen tree makes a sound, and I'm the mystery you're focused on? Can't you just hunt for my cousin the Yeti for a bit? I mean, holy shit, I'm a recluse for a reason. It's not to pose for your fucking cameras. Leave me alone! Oh, and for my buddy Smokey, I have to ask that you all please help to prevent forest fires. Please enjoy your show already in progress. Alright guys, so 451 by Ray Bradbury. Whenever people talk about this book, you're going to hear the word dystopian. This is a dystopian novel. Well, what that's getting at is it looks at an apocalyptic and or worse future than the present we are currently living in. It's really only notable in that pre-industrial revolution, definitely before the 2 world wars that started out the last century, most novels were really just utopian novels. Think Plato's The Republic or Sir Thomas More's Utopia, of course. Hell, there's even utopias written about all-women societies, like most notably Charlotte Perkins Gilman's of Herland. Great read. They never really do that with all-dude societies, mostly because, we associate childbirth and the future of mankind with women. But sometimes ladies, they like to envision the perfect world as having no men. In these books, they always have buildings that I guess women somehow figured out how to build, or there's never heavy stuff just laying around on the floor because nobody could lift it, or all the jars aren't opened. But anyway, the ladies even had fun playing with the utopian novel idea. But after the World Wars and the Industrial Revolution, we had the introduction of the dystopian novels. Most notably from those, we got 1984, Brave New World, and of course, Fahrenheit 451, this book. And this is one of those books I always knew I should read, just I never got around to reading it before reading it for this here show. And I just got so mad at myself. The book was really that good. It was so good I couldn't believe that I hadn't read this before. The entire time flipping the pages, all I kept thinking to myself was, how did this elude me? How did it escape me? How did my brain just not take my foot and kick myself straight in the ass until I got to the store to buy this book? It really was that good. Some specifics about it, guys. In the beginning, we're introduced to its main character, Guy Montag. He is a firefighter, which means his job is to burn books. That's what firefighters did in this future. And we see that he has joy in his job. He's a dude, he likes burning things. It's kind of what we do, we set the world on fire. And his dark characteristics, they are contrasted with the introduction of Clarice. She's just the girl next door, but she's also the first voice of reason to Guy Montag and the future's darkness. With her, we find joy in the world. You have his dark features, while she's always described as light, milky, windy. She asks questions about the world. Montag has no questions. In his mind, firemen always burned books and started fires. That's a fireman's job. That's what they always did and what they would always do. It really gets him to question his own way of thinking when she looks at him and says, or asks more appropriately, didn't firemen used to put out house fires? And then when he walks her home, the simple contrast of her home, it's lit up and active. Her home is alive, while all the other houses around are dark. They're compared to mausoleums. And of course, a mausoleum is a place of death, whereas her place is a place of life. He really thinks about this when he goes to his own home. Here we find I love Montag's home. Him and his wife, they're kind of Flintstones or Jetsons-esque. Him and his wife have separate beds. And he finds his wife OD'd on sleeping pills. And he doesn't call a doctor. Doctors don't make such routine house calls in the future. He calls a handyman. Handymen with their technology come in, and they just pump her stomach out using the machines. And of course, like any addict, when she wakes up in the morning, she has no memory of this, like a blackout drunk who doesn't believe he made an ass of himself the night before. She disregards what he said to her. She didn't take all those pills. The handy docs never showed up to pump her out and save her life. Life just goes on. And the technology of the future, Bradbury was pretty accurate in it. For instance, well, I mean, this one ain't quite true, but in that future, the police don't have to be detectives. They follow a mechanized hound around after their suspects. Today would probably be more true of GPS and just following us on our phones, but still, it takes the humanity out of it. The humans don't have to do the work, they just turn to their gadgets and they do the work for them. It's the same with the firefighters even. They have axes. They have these nozzles, these flamethrowers to shoot out the books. They don't have matches to spark the fires. They rely on their technology. Of even the homes, and this is really his best guess of the future. His best predictor. Television was just becoming the dominant form of entertainment back then. And he saw the TV as a threat to books and the entire intellectual way of thinking. In Guy's home, his wife had just installed a third screen into their room. Now, not just a TV screen, 3 full walls, lit up with different images, television shows, all pouring through in a mad jabble and jumber that she loves. She's addicted to it as much as the sleeping pills. She'll sit in that room all day, or she'll leave the room and just leave the lights on, wasting electricity. Kind of like every house I go to today. People leave the rooms, lights on, gadgets going. They don't care. They just play their electronic shit. They just waste energy all day long. And that's what's happening in this book. And he sees it as ridiculous. In fact, their dream is to have a 4th wall filled with jibber jabber and nothing noise and mindless entertainment. That is their dream. That's what him and his wife want for themselves, is that 4th wall. That's a status symbol. That means that you have made it in this world. You are fully encircled by nothing, just some asshole talking to you over some electronic device. But people love to hear their assholes talk, and we keep talking. And that's what his wife loves. It's what she does for a living. While he goes to sit in the firehouse and wait on a fire call to be called out, she talks back to the screens. It's what she gets paid to do. She's a mindless entertainer. Her friends congratulate her for it. Her little gaggle of lady friends, they talk about the pointless entertainment. Kind of like a reality show, and ladies talking about countless idiots on the television screen that make them feel superior in their own day-to-day lives. And that's, the women scene is really striking in this book. It's really the most disconnected we see people from their everyday lives, is the disconnect these women even have from their own children. In this future dystopian landscape, women don't even want to give birth to the children. They don't see the pain and agony as being worthwhile. All of them just have C-sections. They don't want to have to go through the pain for these children. There's just a great quote from the book about their feelings towards their own children. Just shove them in a room and slam the door shut. They're like laundry, waiting to be taken care of, but it can be taken care of later. Further aspect of the way kids are in these books, of kids' race. I mean, Bradbury, that is. He lived in California. There was a lot of car racing going on back in the day. And he couldn't foresee a future without kids racing cars. I don't think he could believe they would rather sit at home in their room staring at an electronic wall screen, racing on there, even though that's what the kids do today. He figured in the future, kids would still be out there racing for the thrill of it. And in the book, it's great because the police don't even try to stop them. The police kind of want them to wreck and die. They don't care. The kids have insurance. It's the number one cause of teenage death in these books because, again, he thought that kids would always be thrill seekers, always seeking out the race. One more thing on the highways and byways of Bradbury foreseen into the future. People who live in big cities and deal with traffic on a day-to-day basis are going to love and hate this at once. And remember, Bradbury's in California, the #1 state for traffic congestion in the world. In his future, billboards would have to be 200 feet long because people would drive by them at such a rate that they wouldn't be able to read the billboards unless they were 200 miles long. On their expressways, there is a strict 55 mile per hour minimum speed enforced. Sit in traffic. I hope you're in traffic listening to this right now. Imagine a world where you have to go a minimum of 55 miles per hour. Because back then, even though this is a dystopian book, he still thought that we were going to continue making technological advancements. Why wouldn't we? He witnessed the birth of the atom bomb. I mean, nuclear power plants were a new thing. Technology was always going to get better, always going to get more useful, and always make life go quicker, be more convenient. We here in the present know that's not the case. We sit in traffic every single day, looking at a 55 mile per hour max. I don't think Bradbury could have envisioned even the speed limit not going forward. Sure, our technology has progressed. Our lives have slowed to a standstill. And that's one of those things when you're writing a book about the future, you can't always predict. And in this case, the way traffic would move, and of course the size of billboards, they're still the same size. Speed limits are still the same. The max, 55, and cars that can do 220. But anyway, we got to take a quick break, folks. Got to make some money from our commercial sponsors. Be back with more from this in just a moment. Hey guys, you got a bunch of pointless tattoos? Do you chug countless energy drinks in order to do absolutely nothing? Do you wear your ball cap backwards everywhere that you go? And ladies, do you not care that your hijinks, hoopla, and pointless drama bother normal people while you drive recklessly to the tanning bed or nail salon? Don't any of you worry about facing the shallow nature of yourselves head on. Let the douchebag dating service do the work for you today. Don't worry about signing up. You're already enrolled in the douchebag dating service. So as 451 continues, Clarice disappears. Her and her entire family. And people want more of Clarice. They really like her as a character. She's a good character. She's that youthful, questioning of authority voice that kind of frees Guy from his day-to-day thinking. That kind of puts him into a thinking man as opposed to an unthinking brute who just goes through his life doing as he's told. So when the muse of his eventual understanding disappears, it saddens us. But that's part of the point, is that if you think for yourself in this future, if you're a reader, a thinker, you will be whisked away. People don't want to be made to think. They want to live their simple lives. And this kind of leads us to the bad guy of the book, of the fire chief, Captain Beatty. Now, like Star Wars had Darth Vader, or Lord of the Rings had Sauron, this one's bad guy is the fire chief, Captain Beatty, and he is a great bad guy. And what's funny about it is he's the most well-read character in the book. He quotes the Bible. He quotes Homer. He quotes philosophy. And why is he well-read? He, at one time, did what Guy does. Guy steals a book. From one of his burnings, he just takes a book home just to see what is he destroying. And it turns out Guy has a whole collection of these. He's been doing it at every fire he goes to. And it leads to bad things, because Captain Beatty and the rest of the fire crew, they show up at his house. Captain Beatty warned him, turn in your books or your home will be burned. And he makes good on his threat. And what's funny is as Guy is confronting Captain Beatty and the rest of his fire crew, his wife simply slinks off into the night. And Guy knows he will be divorced. She won't even think about it. She'll find a new husband, and she'll go on in her sleepwalking, ODing on sleeping pills, watching mindless entertainment way of life. He knows it. He can't do anything about it. He just lets her go in thought, mind, and in action. But this is where he does confront the authority figure, Captain Beatty. Captain Beatty explains to him, the word intellectual is a swear word in this future. We can't have it. We can't have you mountain mountains. Mountains is the way he puts it. Mountains of intellect, making the others feel inferior, feeling inferior to those who are intellectual betters. We don't want to look up to you. We feel inferior. That's why in this future, everything's simplified. And I don't mean like simplifying your day-to-day lives, making things easier on yourselves. They simplify thought. They want to simplify everything so that everyone simply does what they are told. And of course, Montauk, he rebels against this simplification. He kills Fire Beatty with his own fire hose. And remember, the fire hose isn't shooting water, it's shooting flames. And he engulfs Beatty in flames, and he runs from his fire crew. And this is a great part of the book, when he's running from the fire crew, because the police send out their electronic hounds to track him down. The police don't search for him. Well, I mean, they got the helicopters out in the spotlight, but they're still using technology to do their work for them. And just like we all did with the O.J. Simpson case 20 years ago. 20 years? Yeah, it has been. Hot damn. Anyway, we all turn in and watch. We want to see the fugitive fleeing. We want to watch the capture, the moment. We want to see it all. It's just entertainment to us. It doesn't matter this is a real-life criminal on the run. We're entertained. We're distracted for a few moments, and we're happy. For anyone that's read the Richard Bachman story, The Running Man, this scene feels like what inspired it, because everyone tunes in. At one point, everyone watching is asked to walk outside their doors. Look around. If you see him, call us. And what's great is as Guy's running from the authorities, he keeps peering in windows. He keeps seeing the progress of them tracking him on the screens of neighbors. He can watch it. He freezes at one point, knowing that if he stood there long enough, he could watch his own capture on the TV through the window. He could watch them come. But of course he doesn't. He doesn't. He makes it to the river, he slinks in, and is swept out of the city and away from harm. And here is where we find the outcast group of strangers, of intellectuals. Intellectuals in this book don't live in cities. They live as bums. Let's not say recluse and put it any other way. They live as bums. They live outside of a warehouse. They warm themselves from drums. You know, old big oil gasoline drums. They set fires in them just to keep warm and to cook their food at night. But what's nice is this is a good fire. As Guy puts it, this is a fire for warming, not for destroying. And then they don't let the fire simply burn itself out the way his fire department did. They put the fire out to save the resources, so they can once more use that fire again to find that warmth again. And each man, no matter what book they have read, it doesn't matter. They become that text. They become that book, and they are forever the key to that book coming back into society. It kind of harkens back to the greatest book disaster ever, the burning of the Library at Alexandria. What if that ancient knowledge had been carried by some individual throughout life, and he was able to pass it down to his children or someone else's children, and we could know all the knowledge that was lost? It really makes me want to journey to Alexandria on some kind of, I don't know, pilgrimage, just to check a book out of that library, read it, gain its knowledge, and then return it like a good, decent citizen. Because that's what this book makes you want. If you're a reader, this book is a love affair with books. Last week I said that Huck Finn should be enshrouded in red, white, and blue because it is free as an American should be. 451 should be enshrouded in just splotches of blue and black ink, because it is just a celebration of books and of reading and of gaining knowledge, not for any purpose, but just for knowledge's sake. Just for the sake of to think better, to think more clearly, to challenge ideas. And another, I got too many favorite quotes from this book. We'll call this one my favorite too. Always fear the tyranny of the majority. Always question it. Because that's what books teach us. They teach us how to think critically, how to question what should be and what should not be. And as a lover of books, like I said, once I read this, it made me angry that I hadn't taken the time to read it before. Especially as, you know, an anti-authority teenager, I think this would have been a great book for me. I think it would have fit straight into my mindscape. I mean, we're always wanting things that reinforce our own way of thinking. That's why Republicans only watch Fox News and Democrats watch CNN. They don't want new opinions. They want their own thoughts reinforced to them. This book did that in the same way to me. It made me feel smarter for reading, for questioning, for thinking. And the great point in this book is we no longer have gardens. We no longer have rocking chairs or porches. We don't have those places where we just sit back, talk to each other, think, express ideas. And then it made me sad because I live in a condo, just basically an apartment, 4 square walls. I don't have an outside porch. I don't have a rocking chair to sit and think and express ideas. I have this stupid computer screen that talks to me mindlessly. I have assholes talking to me over the internet. A lot of them express good ideas. Some of them just talk pointlessly about books we've already read. And anyways, guys, I loved this book. I really did. I can't express how much you should all go out and read it if you have not. And if you haven't read in years, go back and read it again. If I have one complaint with this book, it's the same as I think everybody's complaint about this book. It's just too short. It comes and goes so quick. Clarice is there, and then she's whisked away into the night. Beatty becomes that all-encompassing bad guy that we all love to hate. And then he's killed. Guy is running from the authorities live on television for all to see. And then he's free. Then he's in the wilderness with the intellectuals, with the people who are going to pass on knowledge to future generations. And then it's just over. The whole thing is done very quick. The pacing is incredible. It just goes. It's one of those books that doesn't waste time on descriptions. It's not flowery. It gets straight to the point of the story and it just tells it. Like a book should. It gets to the point. It's why it's so enjoyable. It's why it is a classic and a masterpiece. Alright, I wish I could go on further, but my time is running out. If anybody tuning in regularly, next week we're going to do Kurt Vonnegut Jr., another one of my top 5 favorite authors of all time. And for some reason, a very underrated author. I'm going to be taking a look at his work, Bluebeard. But don't forget this week's... I can't say enough about this book. Do not forget Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. You should all go out there and read it. You never know. You may just like it more than me.